This conference will now be recorded. This conference will now be recorded.
Hi, good morning, everyone. Hope you are able to see my screen as well as you are able to hear me clearly. Please confirm.
Yes, Madhu.
Okay, that's great. So let's get going. This is fourth session of our online ISTQB Advanced Test Manager certification course. So far we talked about the syllabus, the course, the chapters, the exam system, and then we started with our first chapter, that is our testing process. And in that, we went through the fundamental test process as prescribed in the advanced test manager syllabus. And then we covered the first topic of that chapter, that is test planning, monitoring, and control, which is a very important concern for any test manager. And as we are learning the syllabus, we are trying to solve some questions as they will be asked in the ISTQB exam. So last session, we started with the second topic, that is test analysis and design. Again, test analysis and design as a main activity will be performed by test engineers and test analysts on your team, but you will be managing them. So again, in the advanced syllabus, in a very granular manner, they describe this syllabus elements. So they have kind of made test analysis and design into two separate activities, test analysis and then test design. So we will also learn in the same manner, but in no way it tells that after test analysis, test design has to be performed. No, it is not. Just to bring focus into exactly what happens as a task called test analysis and as a task called test design. Only with that intention, the granularity has been given. But typically in a real project, when you are managing a team, all these things happen parallelly, concurrently. So whatever we are talking about the fundamental test process, in no way you should think in your minds only these are applicable for sequential life cycle model projects. No, they can be applied in iterative, incremental, also iterative and incremental SDLC models such as Agile. So keep that in mind. So in the last uh, session, we set up a question to explain the what is the learning objective of test analysis topic. In that, actually we solved a question. Basically, as I told you, the test analysis and design as an activity will be performed by your team, and you are the manager or a lead for that team. So what is your role in that? You have to really help them do those tasks very well. So you have to really ensure that whatever they are doing consistently, and also they are doing completely. And consistency, when we talk, yes, they have to be consistent with respect to your test plan, your test objectives specified in your test strategy, and they have to be consistent with whatever user stories and requirements. That consistency check will be done, or completeness check will be done by you by setting good backward forward traceability, and review the work done by the test teams and be able to guide them, coach them to do the testing work thoroughly, as it is needed for a particular type of project. That is the responsibility of test manager, and it is not an easy responsibility. That's why we have to learn very clearly. Actually, another learning objective specified for test analysis in the test manager syllabus is that, again, how formally we have to do this activity. Means, should I do actually very detailed test condition documentation as part of my test analysis activity, or if I do a little lightweight documentation, so where to use what type of level of detail. That is also another important learning outcome. We'll look into those things today. So today, in the next 60 minutes, let us cover the test analysis topic as described in our ISTQB Advanced Test Manager syllabus. So again, as usual, please ask questions anytime through the session and contribute from your point of view, because as I told you, a lot of you are really hands-on test engineers, hands-on test leads and test managers. So your point of view is also very important. Okay, keep that in mind. Then let's move. So let us look at the overview of test analysis. So prior to this, you have done test planning. So during test planning, the scope of the test project is defined. Okay, so you have told what features to be tested, what features not to be tested, and many other details you have talked. Also, what is my test objective, what things I have to exit criteria, all those high level things you have defined your test planning. Now the team is in the next part of the work. Now they are doing test analysis. So during test analysis, the test analyst, we are calling all the people who really perform this test condition identification, test case documentation, test execution, we are calling them as test analysts. So during test analysis, the test analysts, they use the scope definition that has been outlined in your test plan to do two things. One is they will analyze the test basis. So again, this is the ISTQB terminology. The test basis is nothing but any information based on which you are designing tests. That information is called test basis. Requirement documents, user stories, use cases, or in very informal kind of thing, an email from a client or a phone conversation from a client recorded can become your test basis as well. So whatever the test basis is based on your nature of your project, test analysts will analyze the test basis. We are not using reads the test basis. We are telling they will analyze the test basis. Analyze is a more serious activity than merely reading it. Analyzing means we have to really read once, two times, three times, four times. We have to really understand the seriousness of what somebody is talking or somebody is described in a requirement specification. And if we don't understand, we have to ask questions, but we have to develop a very deep understanding. That is why we are telling analyze the test basis. And after having done the, or after having developed a deep understanding about the test basis, all the information that is really needed to understand the scope of the software and be able to build tests, then during test analysis phase, your test analysts will identify the test conditions. These are the two tasks your team does: analyzing the test basis, whatever it is available for that project, and then after having understood that, identify the test conditions. So you have to really guide your team to doing these tasks very, very well. So that is your role. That is why you are learning this part of the syllabus. Again, defining test basis. Test basis is any information that is available describing the software that you are testing, typically one or more specifications. Examples are a very detailed requirement specification, use cases, system specifications, then functional specs, business process specs. If in a formal, large scale, complex projects, all these documents will be available that will describe software, and you use that information as test basis to build your tests. But also in small, informal kind of things, there may be, you have to consider contracts, letters, emails, user feedback, user requests can be also potentially your test basis at times. So keep that in mind. And also, as part of this activity, a lot of times people miss actually the aspect of non-functional quality characteristic, the performance, the security, usability. A lot of times the test basis will be more focused on the functional aspect of the software, and that's where actually if they are not outlined or articulated in any of this information, it is the test manager's responsibility to ask questions and gather this non-functional quality characteristic, what is that they're expecting in addition to the functional behavior. So that is what you have to keep it in mind as a test manager. Again, as I told you, sometimes no documentation exists at all. Okay, we are doing software development in a very informal manner. That is what happens in really small, simple projects using agile approaches. So at that time, we must rely on our own knowledge. The experience counts, and also we have to rely on other people's knowledge. So again, effective Q&A will actually help you to understand what software we are building, and that can pave a way to building the right kind of test conditions. So keep that in mind. Okay. So again, what level of testings we have to have test basis? Every test level should have its own test basis, like for user acceptance testing. So basically test analysis happens for every level of testing: unit level testing, integration level, system level, user acceptance level. But some levels require some type of test basis, they are more suitable. So for example, you are doing test analysis activity for user acceptance test, then the most appropriate the test basis or the information is requirement spec. If you are doing a component level testing, then maybe the technical specification of the code or low level design documents that are developed by technical folks, they are the best information to do test analysis activity for doing a unit level or component level testing. So keep that in mind. Then, so we are talking in the second step of our fundamental test process: test analysis and test design. So these are, right now we are talking test analysis is one activity, test design is another activity. So how they are different? So basically in fundamental foundational level syllabus also we covered this. So during test analysis, what test engineers do is that they look at the most relevant and available test basis, meaning the information about software, and then looking at that, first they will understand it, they will read it, ask questions if in doubt, but they deeply understand it. Once they have understood it, they will ask one question from the test basis: hey, from this test basis, what will I test? Then an answer will come. Like let's say there is a always I talk about a simple triangle program. Every test engineer learns how to test a famous triangle program testing is there. In that there is one paragraph of requirements. Okay, this program reads 3 integers. That is the requirement statement, that is the test basis. So when you look at that first line, this program reads 3 integer values, so immediately you will ask question, okay, from this statement what will I test? So that question you will ask, then you will get an answer. Okay, from this statement I am understanding that this program will take actually 3 inputs. So they are talking about a constraint number of inputs. So in your mind it will come, okay, I will give 3, okay, program will work. Let's say if I give 4, what will happen? Or if I don't give input, what will happen? Or if I give 2, what will happen? These are the questions you will ask. What? So you will identify immediately on a paper number of inputs I will test when this program is ready. So basically how the answer came? The answer came because you asked what will I test from this statement. Then you came up with an answer, number of inputs. Then in the statement again another thing is there. This program will read 3 integer values. So okay, there is something about the type of inputs. So you will tell that I will test for type of inputs. So every what will result in an answer, and that answers are nothing but typically in our IST QB terminology, we call them as test conditions. So in test analysis, we do that. Once I have identified test conditions, in the test design phase, I will use some technique based on the complexity of the test condition. I may decide, okay, here I will use a state transition test design technique and then try to build a test case. Or here I will use a use case based test design, or here I will use a boundary value analysis technique. So that is actually how, once you have asked what, you got an answer about test condition. Now for each of those test conditions, you decide how will I really build a test case for it. That is what we call test design. So test analysis defines what to be tested, and test design defines how it is to be tested. That anyway we know. Again, I'm only repeating from our foundational syllabus. But then as a test manager, you have to be cognizant of the fact, because you are not doing this task, you are actually guiding your team to do the task. Sometimes you may have senior team members, no problem at that time, but a lot of times you may have some fresh graduates came out of campus, you put them into a boot camp and then they are ready to participate in billing testing project. Then you have to deal with these issues very carefully. So basically what here you have to keep it in your mind as a test manager is that if the what means the test analysis activity is wrong, much of how effort may be wasted. If you don't do this test analysis properly, then it might lead you to do test design very improper, and it will spoil the project. That is why if the what is wrong, much of how effort will be wasted. That is why you have to really be careful and ensure that your teams are identifying uh, properly the test conditions which are consistent with the test plan and other test strategy and other aspects, and also they're complete to test the software. So this you have to keep it in mind. So little bit more elaborately looking at it, how the test analysis really happens. So I have some information documents, I'm calling them as test basis. As I told you, they can be very detailed documentation, or they will be very small informal emails and one page documents. Okay, so what your team and you are doing is that you will analyze the test basis. So analyze test basis, I will repeat again, it is done with an aim to really deeply understand the test basis information. If your quality of understanding is very good, your quality of testing will be very good. That's why you have to really spend a lot of time, and it has a lot of positive advantages when you do that. But actually what you do, once you analyze the test basis, maybe in the test basis document itself there is a risk related information, then based on all that you can prioritize, okay, this is the overall software, but some areas are having higher risk than others. So basically higher risk areas will have to be tested more thoroughly, meaning more effort will have to be put, more test conditions, applying both positive negative test cases that we have to cover. We have to measure and achieve high degree of coverage, and maybe high risk aspects in my test planning schedule aspect, I have to aim to do them early, and any low or medium risk I can postpone. So the prioritization of when a particular test will be conducted, all these things will you will get prioritization based on your risk analysis. And using that knowledge, what you do, you will, or your team will identify test conditions, and again based on the priority of the test basis understanding, you will prioritize also your test conditions. So as you do analysis, lot of positive things will happen in projects. One thing happens is that first thing is that when you are analyzing, you are really making a serious attempt to get to know the information about the software or test basis. So that very activity will help you to identify some requirements, some user stories have not been articulated in a way we can test them clearly. So some things around untestable aspects of your requirements, you can catch them early at the time of even analyzing. So actually the testability is a very important thing. Like, let's say for an example, I tell we are developing an ATM, bank ATM system, and in that I have one requirement. My business analyst wrote like this: at the end of every successful, unsuccessful transaction, a printout must be generated. That is my requirement. So is it a good testable requirement? With that statement, what you can test? You can carry out a successful transaction, then at the end of that there will be a little bit of sound and a paper comes out, so the software is passed. Can we say that? So that basically is a very untestable requirement. So problem with these untestable requirements or ambiguous requirements is that developers don't ask questions. Developer will write some code, he will print something on the paper at the end of successful transaction, but whatever in the developer's mind happens, they will write, because there is no clear articulation of anything. So if business analyst would have said that in the printout we want to see this first line like this, then this information, this information, this information, like that, if the business analyst has articulated the requirement in such a detail, then for a test person it gives a very good idea about what expected result I have to see from the printout. Then they will design right tests. So at the time of analyzing test basis, one very positive side effect that will happen is that your team and you will be able to identify some untestable requirements, and then you can get back to the business analyst or the client and tell that, hey, why don't you describe it in a little bit more detail so that developers don't make mistakes, and we will be able to test it more accurately. And also this whatever task you are doing of analyzing test basis, you can identify some wrong requirements early. So anything that are ambiguous and inconsistent requirements, anything redundant requirements, or most importantly something that should have been specified but it is not there, these are the actually cause of the most serious defects in software. So a good test basis analysis activity done in a very serious way has so many positive side effects. So early testing is already started because of this work. Then you can really focus after bringing these very important issues back to the client or the business analyst. You are actually preventing defects to occur. So you are ensuring that the information is told in a much accurate manner to developers, and developers write great code because they have accurate information, and then by the time it comes to you, already you would have prevented a lot of defects. Your job is fairly easy. So that is why this test analysis activity, in that way also, it is very important. And as you identify your test conditions, you have to really focus, use the right test basis for the right test level, understand what are the test objectives specified in a test strategy, what are the risks that have been already identified, and sometimes stakeholders, communicating with them, are they available for you or not, based on that you will be able to identify test conditions. And actually test conditions are measures and targets for success. So this activity, as a good test manager, you have to create a proper environment in your team so that this activity actually is done very well. And from the learning outcome, that is critical for test managers from this topic is that You have to ensure that whatever test analysis is performed by your team, it is complete and it is consistent with other things that are important, the requirements, the test strategy, the exit criteria and test plan, all those things, it has to be done. So once you set it up, you should be able to, as a test manager, review the work of your team by establishing traceability, both back to test basis and objectives and forward to test designs, test cases, maybe defects. So this backward, forward traceability, if you build, then you will be able to guide your test teams in a very effective manner. As always I tell, test management is not a trivial task. It is a very detail oriented, thorough task. Let it be a simple, not simple, but agile kind of environment, informal environment, or it's a very large, safety critical, complex project. In both occasions, uh, testing has to be done very, very accurately. So test managers play a very important role to ensure that the teams are all doing a very thorough job so that we are able to mitigate the risk of releasing bad quality in the hands of end users. That's why these are all, though at times they look like they are very theoretical, very formal, and at times actually they are boring, but the reality of the various situations is that better actually we know these things very well. Another important task, based on the risk analysis, based on how well the test base is articulated, another important guidance a test manager gives the test team is that where to use what type of test design techniques. Okay, so in the foundational syllabus, we reviewed a lot of black box test design techniques, static testing techniques, and also experience-based testing techniques. There are many testing techniques available to be applied as we build test cases and run tests. So there is something called equivalence class partitioning, boundary value analysis, state transition testing, decision table testing, use case testing, statement testing. These are static testing techniques, performance testing, and then experience based testing. So many testing techniques are there. So a test manager now, for a particular project, in the test analysis activity should tell, okay, for this test conditions use state transition technique. Let's say there is a particular test condition where you are testing a workflow within a software. There will be some entities in the software, they will actually get into many, like there is a leave application functionality you are testing. So a leave application is filled and submitted, then it actually gets a applied state. Then all the applied state based on the manager field filled, the manager will be able to see them. Then manager will be able to approve or reject. If manager approves, it will go into approved state. If he rejects, rejected state. Then this approved thing is actually availed by a particular employee, then it is availed, and then some actions will happen, that leave balance is debited with whatever this thing, and it will get into the HR system. Let's say you are testing that kind of workflow functionality, and it is very critical workflow, any mistakes can be very serious in the software. Then you may guide your test team to, hey, this is a very good requirement or a feature where you can apply state transition test design technique. And because it is a very mission critical workflow, I want you to achieve one switch coverage as you test it and demonstrate to me that you have achieved one switch coverage. So then the test analyst will be guided by you to apply. And also you can tell that because this is so critical, I want you to create a good state transition table for this, and also apply both negative state transitions as well as positive state transitions. I want you to quickly test with all that, so that the software doesn't fail for any negative kind of situations, which is in a serious application, it can be dangerous. So you have to guide the teams to choose the right test design techniques. So again, as a test manager, you must be aware that you will use a particular test design technique based on what risks you are mitigating. If there are, as I told you, this example, it's a safety critical workflow, then it is a very high risk. Then you will put a very tough exit criteria, and you choose the right technique with right coverage. And let's say it is less risk, you will tell that okay, just you do some exploratory testing and record whatever you have done. Then another thing is that knowledge of the software under test. Let's say test engineers on your team are very knowledgeable about the software they're testing. Then you may tell that okay, you are experienced in testing as well as you are experienced with the software that is being tested. So okay, why not you actually perform some exploratory testing using some good techniques? That can be your guidance. Or if the knowledge of the testers is very low, they're all college graduates, or two situations. One is actually the knowledge level of test engineers, they are first time testers. So better actually you coach them in these scripted testing techniques and make them use those scripted testing techniques, formally do testing and show it to you that they've achieved this much of equivalence partition coverage, this much of BVA coverage. Then it will be, in spite of having the fresh greenfield engineers, you will be able to achieve better coverage and better quality testing would have been done. Or imagine another situation. Let's say you are a product company. Okay, you are the manager and you know your product very well. A new release is coming and you have very senior test analysts. They also know the job very well. But it is a very big work of test execution every week. So you have kind of given that work to an outsourced partner, a vendor. And vendor may not have very experienced testers, but you want the vendor to do good quality testing. Then maybe as a test manager, you have very experienced testers, but you will tell your test analysts, hey, why don't you build very good scripted tests so that using this actually we can tell our vendor to do follow these things carefully to do the testing, then the thoroughness will come. So the knowledge of the software and the test also will, based on circumstance to circumstance, will help to determine how formally and what techniques to be used. Then what kind of source documents available. If I don't have very good documentation, there is no information at all. Because if I have to write very detailed test conditions and develop test cases using test design techniques, I may need sometimes good documents. Then that also will determine which techniques to use. And then okay, it will, if I have to use, I also need to know what benefits it will deliver. Only then only I will choose a particular technique. Then test oracles available for all the testing that I'm doing from the requirements or from the test basis. Am I able to get something about expected results in a clear way? That's what we usually call test oracles. So based on all that, you will constrain and guide your team to apply a particular kind of test design techniques and then ask them to develop the test specifications or test cases. That is what you do. So that is also very important work scope of a test manager at the time of test analysis, to guide the team to choose the right kind of test design techniques for the right areas of software. That guidance you have to give. Then recap of testing overview is that, so during test planning, the scope of testing project is defined. During test analysis, the test analyst uses this, analyze the test basis, identify the test conditions, and that's where actually you have to guide the team, guide your team to do the right way. That is where we talked about creating this forward, backward kind of traceability and guide them to do those test analysis activities, test design activities in a formal manner, again based on what is the level of detail they have to develop. That all you have to kind of adjust that, not that one size will not fit in every context. As a test manager, you have to keep on adjusting that. That's why you have to be knowledgeable about this. Okay, so in this section now, as I told you, some situations we have to ask our teams to do a very detailed documentation related to test analysis, meaning test condition identification and documentation of test conditions. And sometimes we will not be able to do it in a such a detail. So high level of detail, low level of detail. How do we, which factors really affect the level of detail? Again, this is one learning outcome for test analysis. So in the syllabus, few paragraphs have been written about it. So you have to understand, because some questions may come from these sections. Okay, so there are 10 factors that you have to keep in your mind that might affect the level of detail that you may apply in the process of test analysis. So let me talk about all of those 10. First one is the level of testing. Level of testing means it is either unit level testing or system level testing or user acceptance level testing. So it also tells that, let's say user acceptance level testing, typically the test conditions and all are very broad, very high level, and we will not do too much of detail there, because user acceptance test is a very high level test. Maybe when you come down to low level unit level testing and integration level testing, system level testing, maybe the thoroughness is very much important to find defects, and based on that you may choose to do at a low level detail, meaning you will do much more formal documentation. Okay, so you will build more detailed documentation about your test analysis activity. So level of testing can affect the detail, whether it should be very detailed or less detailed. Okay, then the detail and quality of your test basis. Okay, let's say I am in a context where my requirements, use cases, user stories are done in a very detailed manner, and they are of very high quality. Okay, then actually I will be in a position to, even if I want, I will do a detailed actually test analysis activity. If let's say the detail and quality of test base is not that great, then you may not be in a position to do your very detail oriented test analysis activity. But little bit contrary way, if you look at it, let's say in a project you have not so good quality of requirements or not so good quality of user story documentation. Then let's say you have time and you have very good test engineers who understand software very well. Then as a test manager, you may very well decide that, okay, let me put some 2-3 week effort and actually build very detailed test conditions, which will compensate for not having detail and quality test basis. Then test condition will become the most important information whole project team can use. So you can choose any other way, but keep it in your mind, this detail and quality of test basis is one of the factors that might affect your decisions on deciding whether I will do a very detailed good test basis and formal thing or not so formal. Keep that in mind. Then the third one is system software complexity. If you are in a context where your test team is involved in testing very complex software, there is no other way than building a really formal, detailed documentation around your test conditions and building forward, backward traceability and ensure 100% that whatever you are doing, your testing is extremely thorough. It is consistent with the risks identified. It is consistent with the overall company's testing mission, and also it is consistent with the other things that you do. So very, very important. Let's say your system and software is of less complexity, then like you are doing a 2-week sprint, building some 2-3 features or adjusting some features, then you may do in a very low level of detail, or not very formally, informally you can do that. So that is a factor, you remember, complexity of the software and system. And again, project and product risks. More risks means more detailed formal is important. Less risk, then we can do less detailed informal way, we can do that. Then relationships between test basis, what and how it is to be tested. Okay, so basically like you have some test basis, and the next step is test cases, how it is to be tested. So based on that, even for some test basis you can do little informal documentation, some test basis you can do more thorough one. Then the software development life cycle that is being used, if it is iterative, incremental, agile kind of model, it's things happen very quickly in iterations. So you may not even have time to go for a very detailed way, but you can do in a very informal way, but the process can be applied. But if it is a waterfall cycle with a lot of time and it's a large project, then you have to go for the more complex one. And again, detail of other work products, that's what we talked, quality and detail of test basis, requirement document, user story document. So if you have good detail, you can provide good detail. If you don't have good detail of your test basis, you may not be in a position. But as I told you, if you have time and good people on your team, at least you can take this opportunity of test analysis to build some good documentation, which will become a reference for everyone in the team later. So that way also you can look at it. Then skills and knowledge of your test analysts. So if you have less skillful and knowledgeable test analysts, both on the software under test as well as in testing field, then actually better coach and guide them to do in a very scripted way. So do formal documentation, that will help the team. But let's say if you have very experienced testers, then they can do testing in a experience based techniques like exploratory thing. So we can need not do in a very formal manner. But as I told you, the product company kind of context, let's say you are outsourcing testing, then better actually your experienced test analysts still apply scripted testing and provide a detailed test condition, test case document to a third party vendor, that you will get benefited by that. Then again, level of detail depends on the maturity of your test process and organization. So you have to have good process defined, good teams, and then good tools where all these things can be recorded. All that actually also affects the way you want to go, whether to go for a very formal detail oriented or little bit informal, less detail oriented. We can decide that. And the last one is the stakeholder availability. Let's say your customers are your very important stakeholders. So if they are available throughout the project, they are also providing inputs to what is to be tested and all that. Maybe you can keep the document at a very low level, because anyway they are very experienced. But if they are not available, better then make it little bit more detailed so that teams get benefit. These are again little bit theoretical aspects of 10 factors that will affect a test manager's thinking around what level of detail they should go as their teams are performing this test analysis activities. Okay, So what is the advantage if you do detailed test documentations, the pros and cons? So actually, if you do detailed test conditions, advantages are you will have better and more detailed monitoring and control. So you can put all your backward forward traceability, and you can carefully monitor the project, give good coaching to your teams, and you can really be in control. Defect prevention is another very big advantage, because in the process of building a very good test condition documentation, as I said, you will identify ambiguous requirements, missing requirements, redundant requirements, and most importantly, untestable requirements. And by giving feedback early in the life cycle, you will help defect prevention to occur. Then better relates test work products to stakeholders. Okay, again, stakeholder feedback is taken, then their input is taken, then it can relate. Then again, all these things we have already talked helps influence and direct activities with your teams. It will enable more efficient coverage, and again, very good horizontal traceability. All these are advantages. Disadvantage, yes, we know there is, this whole thing takes time in agile projects. When we do in 2 week 3 week sprints, time is the issue. So this thing is a very time consuming activity. Again, maintenance becomes more difficult. So if you make very detailed documents and something changes, now these documents also have to change. So that is another disadvantage. And again, level of formality needs more control. So like you have to really monitor and control very carefully. So again, in agile, you don't have such a situation, so there can be disadvantages. So detailed test conditions are appropriate when lightweight test design documentation methods are in use, by reducing the need for further test documentation. What we are telling here is that in case you have lightweight test design documentation, meaning the test cases, test procedures are very lightweight, you are not writing, then actually a very detailed test condition document can be used as a checklist. Like for example, in Accenture, we always focused on in the test analysis phase coming up with a very detailed document. We used to call it as TCER document, that is test conditions and expected result document. So there is no further writing of test cases in many occasions. If somebody has done a very detailed TCER documentation for the test execution, we used to use that document as a checklist to very quickly test it. So that is what the point really we are telling here. Detailed test conditions are appropriate when lightweight test design documentation methods are in use. Okay, you don't want to again spend downward any more time, so then it is very useful. Then when formal requirements or development work products are absent, we can build the knowledge into the test conditions. This also I told you, because other documentation is very poor and you have a team and you have some time to do that, better actually spend this time to build a very detailed documentation. Then it can be used as a good reference for your rest of the team, developers as well as testers, even the end user customers. Okay, when a project is large scale, complex or high risk, being more thorough helps. That also we talked. And less detailed conditions are appropriate when the test basis can be related very easily and directly to test design work products. Let's say we are doing only a 4-week sprint or a 2-week sprint. We don't need to have big documents to do that. Everything is in your mind. Okay, then we can do in a very informal manner this whole activity, and this is very suitable for component level testing or less complex projects with simple hierarchical relationships between various work products, and also typical acceptance testing phase. Less detailed test conditions are appropriate. So with that, we covered the test analysis topic. So 2 learning outcomes, how to build completeness and consistency check using forward backward traceability with the test analysis activity, that is test conditions, back to your other things. That is very important. And also what level of detail and what factors will determine that kind of thing. So if you are doing very formal, they have some pros and cons. If you are doing less formal, they also have some pros and cons, but they are more where to use what is a very context specific. But as a test manager, you will be handling different contexts at the same time. So better you have this intellectual capability to think through these problems. That is why the syllabus has covered in that way. Okay. So before we move on, there is a question. Okay. You have to answer. Again, this is a typical ISTQB ATM level question. So during the master test planning of a complex safety critical project, you need to decide how detailed the test conditions will need to be documented at all test levels. So you are a test manager and you are actually defining a master test plan, and the project is very complex safety critical project. So you are talking about multiple levels of testing, and in that you want to tell at what level or whatever I will do, what level of detail test conditions I will do, that you are documenting. Okay. Below there are 5 statements. In that, which 2 contributing factors below, these are all contributing factors 5, which 2 contributing factors below correctly identify an advantage and a disadvantage of detailed test conditions for the specified test level. So the statement will have, I will do this because I will get this advantage. Because I am getting this advantage, at the same time I will have this disadvantage. So there is an advantage and disadvantage clubbed in one sentence. So you have to identify the right 2 statements here. Okay. So let us go through this. Conditions for user acceptance tests require less detail to accelerate the schedule. That is the benefit or advantage. Okay. Conditions for user acceptance tests require less detail to accelerate the schedule. Fine, sounds good. However, this may cause failures to be missed. That is the disadvantage that is telling. Okay. This is a safety critical project. Okay. This again, we have to choose only 2 statements. At least the second part sounds not so good for me. Okay. However, if it is really, it's a this advantage actually is not a great advantage if the second disadvantage is such a drastic one. That is what appears in my mind. Okay. But again, as always, when we answer these questions, you have to tell into your mind that DJTC is don't jump to conclusion. And another very important trick also is that always read every question from start to finish before concluding. So don't conclude any in between. The question starts, the question ends, read it completely. Very important. Okay. Anyway, the detailed test conditions at component level supports code maintainability. That is the advantage they're telling. We'll do detailed at component level, which will help in code maintainability. However, the level of formality will impact development time. So what the manager is thinking, that let me do a very detailed level test condition documentation for component level, because the advantage is that it supports code maintainability. Okay. However, if I do that, it will impact development time. The disadvantage is okay, but the advantage, component level detailed test conditions, really they will not help in code maintainability. Code maintainability is a more code review, code inspection issue rather than test condition identification issue. So that is the thinking I'm having right now. But anyway, we will not jump to conclusion. Then the test manager is thinking like this. This project will require detailed test conditions at each test level. because it is a safety critical system. Test manager is thinking not only component level, component integration system, UAT level, everywhere it has to have detailed test conditions because it is safety and critical. That is a reasonable statement. Let us see the disadvantage in his mind. However, if not monitored, this may impact time for further test development. So basically when you do detailed, so you have lot of work on your head. You have to carefully monitor the forward, backward, traceability, and ensure that completeness, consistency happens in the work everyone is doing. So if not monitored well, this may impact time for further test development. So a reasonable statement here. Yes, every level has to be done in a very detailed way, but if I don't do in a good controlled way, if I don't monitor well, this may impact schedule. Okay, reasonable statement. Then fourth statement. Okay, good risk analysis at system level can directly influence the detail of test conditions, but it cannot help mitigate risk exposure. So actually what is telling that risk analysis at system level can directly influence. If there are more risks, I will do more detail, but it cannot help mitigate. The first one is okay, the second one doesn't appear like a proper disadvantage or a con of the statement. So little bit questionable. Let us see. Fifth one, contributions from users in a higher level test condition development can support the correct level of detail. So basically end users, the clients, users in higher level test condition development, that is acceptance test, system test, I can bring contributions from my customer stakeholders to can support and correct level of detail, but may distract them from their normal routine. I can bring them so that it will support at the correct level, no very high, no very less, but because of their knowledge at the right amount, I can specify test conditions for higher level test, that is system test and user acceptance test. That is an advantage. But the disadvantage, the test manager is thinking that maybe those client stakeholders unnecessarily they will be distracted from their normal routine. Sounds little reasonable, but now you have to answer based on whatever you read. Which one, which two you think are right? First one is right or wrong?
Wrong.
Yes, you are right. Second one is also wrong.
Wrong.
Third one appears good statement. Fourth one again, which
Wrong.
cannot mitigate risk exposure is not a good disadvantage. Then anyway one is left, so fifth is anyway good answer. So basically it is. So this is how questions will come in ISTQB exam. So with this we generally covered our test analysis topic. Now as I told you, in a classroom setting I always pause for a while and give you an exercise. Then you will use your paper, pens, and also your brains to think about it. So I have a little bit of exercise. We'll quickly do that. So recap of test analysis, that we understood the factors that might affect the level of detail at which test conditions may be specified, and the advantages and disadvantages for specifying test conditions at a detail level. This is what we did. Okay. So let us get back to a little bit of reflection mode now. Again, we'll do quickly. So for this whole exercises, I will not change the user scenario because we don't need to spend a lot of time. So same user scenario that we have used for planning, we are using. So basically you are a test manager in an airline company. Your airline company is building a loyalty card functionality, and it will do all these features on that. It will be put on your website, and already you have done this project, but your management is not happy because, and they thought it happened because of poor testing, but you thought okay, poor testing is one reason, but lot of reasons are there. In that, another primary reason is that the specifications were not very clear and done in a very proper way. That is why the first project failed. So now the next project is being planned by your management, but they have split it into two parts. One is engine part and one is web part. Engine part is the heart of the project, where you have outsourced to a vendor outside your workplace in a different time zone, and they this time decided that they will do proper requirement specifications and build it in a very formal manner. That is what they decided. And there's the web part where that is being done co-located manner, and they are going to use a agile like process model. And this is basically to build UI part of that. And only one issue here is that the UI part will be scheduled to start early and end early, whereas your engine part will start little later than web part and also end a little later than that already we have discussed. And management, okay, wants this product to be done very great quality. And usability testing issue has already been mentioned. Security testing has been mentioned. An external guy came here. And also accuracy is very important for your management. So already using this scenario you have planned in the last exercise. Now your team, based on your plan, doing test analysis activity. In the test plan under the heading, so you wrote a test plan and guided your team. So you have wrote one section called features to be tested. Okay, so you have talked about in this particular iteration, you talked about two features, FTBT7, FTBT8. One is login functionality and FTBT8 is registration of new users. Okay, and also you have developed a test strategy for whole of this project. In that you have talked about many elements of your strategy. So STR27 is telling security testing takes place in 2 steps. Okay, so within that subsection to 27.1, you told in the first step features that have vulnerability risk are tested using specification based testing design techniques. Black box techniques by your regular teams will be done, whichever functionality has some vulnerability risk. Okay, 27.2 is second step. The specialist will come and do the specific, the applying specific knowledge. They will do much more deeper security testing. That is how this is the excerpt from your strategy. And the first one is a simple excerpt from your plan. Then anyway, it's very trivial exercise, but why it is important I will tell you. So in the requirement specification, the test basis, these people for this 15 days they told we will build these things. R15, one requirement called 15, 16 steps they told we will build in this functionality. Okay, so login window shall contain a username field. Login window shall contain a password field. Login window shall contain a login button. Login window shall contain register now button. Very common things. And then 15.5, what is telling that username field is filled with an existing username, and the password field is filled with corresponding correct password. Actually, system logs in, and whenever the login is pressed and the username is not existent or the password does not correspond to the username, the system opens. So same standard requirement. So user login functionality they told as the requirement specification. So for this you have anyway FTBT, your manager told FTBT7 and FTBT8 already specified, and in test strategy there are some elements, and in the requirements you have seen this, and you have identified this TR1, TR2 all are test conditions at a very high level. You told that I will test the system, that the system has a login window, test that the login window has a username field. You are corresponding to your requirements basically. Then anyway, not big things, so very trivial, but you told. So as a test manager, again, things will not be as simple as this, but the exercise really focuses on, based on this information, how will you build basically traceability table, where something like that you have to build your TR1, TR2, you have to link it to your backward traceability. requirements, TR1, which requirement it is talking about, which FDBT in test plan it is talking, or which element of test strategy is talking. If based on that, you can build your forward, backward traceability to really guide your team to whether if they have missed anything, then you can tell, hey guys, you have missed this, you add this also. Okay, to do that, this exercise basically. So you have to take your time. It's not something, but basically connecting things backward forward is a very important aspect throughout the test process. From a test manager point of view, it is not, you will not be writing test cases, test conditions. You will only guide your team to do that. But as a test manager, you will plan, monitor and control all these activities. So to be able to monitor and control, you have to create a mechanism for you to build this traceability throughout using a tool or your own system. But that is the value add a test manager gets to here. Then anyway, I filled it for you. It is not big issue. So this is what basically TR5. Let's see what is TR5. Test that the login window opens when a user logs out. There is no kind of requirement element. Whenever you are going into a login window and logging out, again it comes back to the login page again. That test people have identified, but there is no requirement there. Okay, so that is one thing you have identified here. That's okay. But then most important for you is that what is missing, okay, from test strategy, from the scope in the test plan, from the requirements. Now you are checking completeness and consistency of the test conditions identified by your team. Then this is very important for you to identify what is missing or what is the not covered, so that you can take that feedback to your team. That is what is the intention of this exercise. You can actually use this and build it, but again, whatever I am filling the things, R15.4 and R15.6 will not be tested. What are those 15.4? The login window shall contain a register now button. There is no test condition identified. Okay, that is why those things are not being tested. That's what we are telling. FTBT 7 is not completely tested because the previous one is not tested, because login has to be tested and also register also has to be tested. There are no test conditions for them. Then FTBT 8, this is the security related risk. No, FTBT 8 is again registration thing, is not being tested. And STR 27 again is a security related thing. There are no test conditions identified, except that the login incorrect password and all you can consider as a functional thing. But that is the how we do these exercises. So anyway, my goal to bring these exercises to take a little pause and think about this, and maybe the projects that you are handling right now. So to be in a better control, start coaching, guiding your teams using this new information that you are learning if you already don't know. Then implement some kind of this traceability mechanism, link up. This thing can be applied in a formal manner or in a very agile manner. For 2-week sprint also you can do, and guide your teams in a good way so that they don't miss on important things. So it is possible. So please apply that. So with this, we covered test analysis topic. The next topic we'll cover is test design, that we'll do on Saturday. So if you have any questions, please let me know.
Hi, Madhu.
Anybody has
Ganesh here.
any?
Yeah,
Hi
yeah,
Ganesh.
Ganesh.
Yeah.
Actually, for maintaining these documents, do we have any tools, or we need to like traceability do in Excel sheets only?
I think if you use Jira, kind of, you can build this kind of traceability, but you have to ensure that all these work products in somewhere, some tabular place, it is there. But otherwise, we have to build Excel kind of capability. Like typically in HP, ALM and all these kind
Uh-huh.
of traceabilities can be built actually. using the tool.
Actually, I think Jira will be the best option. Let's take if we have a one requirement, so that from that
Yeah.
requirement we can build all
Yeah.
the test cases, right?
Yes. Yeah. Test conditions, test cases, and then see whether anything missing. But if
Yes.
you build that traceability, this belongs to this. If the tool can build the traceability, then actually it will tell you what is missing, how much it is covered, and all that.
Yeah, thank you, Madhu.
Okay. Thanks for asking that question, Ganesh. Any more questions? Okay. So thanks so much for your attention. Have a nice day, and till Saturday, learn, have fun. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Madhu.
Bye.